Oh, hey there. Welcome back to part 2 of the manual Audi S5 rebuild. In this episode, we're going to be stripping down the interior and giving it a proper bath because, well, the driver's side window was left open for a few months while this thing sat in a Copart yard, and it's a bit moldy. So I've already off camera sprayed a good portion of this concrobium on the driver's side of the car. This is essentially a mold killer and preventer. The prevention part is important as well because while I hope to get up all of the mold, if any of it stays behind, this should keep it from spreading. It should also mask the odor so that we don't get sick. I wouldn't want to drive this thing and get sick from it. That would suck. So we're gonna kick things off by removing the 2 front seats. These are pretty straightforward. The rear seats are also coming out. I've never removed rear seats in any car before, so that's gonna be fun. We might need, well, this will probably clean up. I thought it was a bit rusty. Ooh, we've even got some food in there. All right. And the carpets are gonna have to come out, of course, as well, because especially on the driver's side, those carpets were getting soaked with snow and rainwater. We're gonna make sure that we not only blast these with our pressure washer, but that we also steam clean them and remove as much of the grime and mildew as possible. Having never done this before, I'm not entirely sure how severe the mold issue is. I do know that at one point, it smelled like wet trash. It no longer does, I think because it's been in a more controlled environment in this garage. It's been closed off and that mold and mildew hasn't been allowed to spread to the open air, hasn't been inundated with water over and over, right? So I'm definitely playing it safe here by disassembling the entire interior. That said, this is an older car, not by years, but just by mileage, and it could use a bath anyway. So I'm gonna take this chance with the car pretty much fully disassembled up front to do the same for the interior to make it as close to brand new as possible. So let's get to work.
First things first, we need to reconnect our battery in order to make adjustments to the front seats on the fly, since their respective bolts can only be accessed when slid all the way forward or backward. A bit of rocking back will also give us access to the seat harness that provides power to the motors on both sides, which is what you're seeing here. Now clearly this floor has been neglected for several months. Not only is it still holding the grime and mold we mentioned earlier, but it's also filled with trash, dirt, and food, all of which we'll need to vacuum up beforehand. And of course, removing the seats makes this access much, much easier. The driver's seat, by the way, was a bit tougher to remove since I can't swing the driver's side door all the way open in this part of the garage, not something I thought of earlier clearly. Ergo, I needed to retrofit the front wheels and literally roll the thing out, which was a bit sketchy as a one-man operation, but the fact that this is a manual did make it easier. Now it's time for the shop vac. Spending about 30 minutes per side, I was sure to scoop up as much loose debris as possible before moving on to steam cleaning and a thorough wash. In hindsight, I probably should have saved the floor for last, since much of the gunk higher up in the cabin would inevitably fall downward, so I ended up having to actually vacuum a few times by the end of this video. Oh, and just keep in mind that you're not seeing every part of this car being cleaned in this video. I am making several cuts for the sake of time, so things like the back seats, of course the headliner, and others are also being attended to.
These seats look to be in very good shape. Something I noticed in the Copart photos, that they weren't torn, which was my biggest concern. Having to replace these would be about $300 or $400 a piece, and that's not including shipping either. The staining will come up very easily, so will the smell. And if you notice, this is the two-tone sort of like leather slash suede combo, and that means that we're gonna probably have to penetrate a bit deeper in the suede sections to get that mold and grime out of it for good. With the car back in the garage now, it's much cooler in here than it is in the sunlight, springtime Central Florida. Most of you who live here know how that is. I'm gonna roll with the excuse of not removing the carpets because the smell in here has almost completely disappeared thanks to the application of concrobium. A few times actually at this point. Almost every day I've been spraying a thin layer over all of the carpets, center console, trim area, and the seats. And I can now breathe in here no problem. It doesn't smell bad at all. I think if I just steam and wash the carpets while they are in the car, we can get by without needing to remove them. I also don't want to remove the center console, which is required to remove the carpets. This I've done before, and it's not fun. After which point, I want to spend some time on these door sills. They haven't been cleaned in what looks like several months, but they should clean up nicely because it just looks like surface dust and grime that's just kind of gathered over again several months. The dash needs to be scrubbed, but it's not cracked or split in any places, which is really nice. It's not lifting either. This isn't like a leather dash or anything. So that's actually helping us in this case. The steering wheel, we're going to pay special attention to. This entire gauge cluster area, I'm going to be staring at most of the time, of course, while I'm driving. So I want to make that look nice and pretty. The shift knob, shift boot area, this is just going to be vacuumed up and scrubbed a bit. And the rear section of the center console, a bit of pitting here. Wouldn't be cheap to replace, but I'm going to try to get away with just cleaning this thoroughly. You can see some overspray from the concrobium. This isn't hurting the material though. We'll scrub that up. It'll look good as new. We'll also spend some time on the door cards, and this one here looks to be in pretty good shape. I think the window on this side was sealed, so that's why we don't see any pitting or cracking over the integrated armrest. But on the driver's side, if you recall, we're going to have to replace this piece, which is going to require me buying an entirely new door card because, well, folks don't just sell this one section. It's a bit difficult to remove, and so I'm just gonna have to order another one for about 200 bucks. Time to whip out the Bissell Hydro Steam. This one's this is gonna be fun to work with. I've never actually used one of these before. I bought it just for this car and for future rebuilds. It's supposed to both steam and wash carpets. It's good for pet urine and things as well. I'm thinking it's gonna work great for a situation like this where the carpets don't exactly smell or feel fantastic.
Steam cleaning time. This machine was awesome. I made several slow passes over entire sections of the carpet, and I'm confident the smell and grime is gone for good. I mean, just look at how nasty this return water is. Door sills up next. These often go neglected even after an exterior bath since the doors must be open for access. Most folks don't like doing that. They don't want to spray water inside the cabin, so it felt good to bring a decent shine to these parts of the car. I should also note I was less concerned with minor scratches at this point since the entire car will likely need to be polished down the line. I just used a microfiber and isopropyl alcohol throughout and additional passes with a light disinfectant for the interior trim bits so as to remove any lingering smells and stains. As you'll see later, it worked out pretty well, and I'll definitely use this combo again. We can't forget the finer details either. These scroll wheels need to be rotated and brushed to ensure no grime remains on opposing sides. The texture also isn't helping here. Would hate for this stuff to pop up later on. This thick, sticky goo left over from the window tape needs to come up, of course, and for that I'll use some good old glue gun. We can also carefully use a steel blade on these windows without damaging. As for the seats, pretty much the same routine as the carpets, started by vacuuming, followed by a manual disinfectant and scrubbing, and ending with a proper steaming. Power washing doesn't hurt either in these cases where extra carpets are concerned, makes it much easier to remove caked in dirt. And there's a lot of it, as you can imagine. Your shoes directly touch these, which is why they're designed to be removable and quicker to clean. Since most of the rear of the car is now thoroughly clean, we can reassemble the trunk section pretty much entirely, tackle trim and other areas around the lid, and bring this Daytona gray paint back to life a bit.
Wow, I am shocked at how clean this windshield looks even after a front end collision like that. So we do have a few areas where obviously some chips have accumulated. This one looks like it started cracking maybe a centimeter wide, but maybe that one's been filled already. Can't tell. I know the camera's not gonna pick it up very well, but this looks super clean. I mean, it's clean enough to where I don't feel like replacing it. Why would I? There's no reason to yet. If it does crack in the future, it gets worse, let's say, then of course we can get it replaced. But for now, that's gonna be an area where we can save some money, because I wasn't sure how clean this was gonna turn out. I thought it was more pitted than it actually is. And as for the interior, this has cleaned up so nicely. Firstly, the smell is completely gone. If there was any remaining mold, mildew, sort of lingering grime in here, I would have deconstructed further. But we've made 2 or 3 passes with the Bizzle steamer and cleaner across all of the carpeted sections of the car, as well as the seats. I've also manually scrubbed with a disinfectant the headliner. That has turned out very well. The center console is extremely clean. It almost looks brand new, dare I say. Considering this is an area of the car that sees a lot of fingerprint traffic, it looks so good in here. The shift knob does have a bit of wear, as you might expect, but it's not something that is severe enough to warrant a replacement. And the leather armrest sort of in the center rear is also a bit worn out, but again, not bad enough to make me want to spend $200 for a replacement. The seats also came out very nice, as you saw earlier. Same with the carpets. We're pretty much ready to reassemble the interior, something that's going to require me, again, pushing the car back out into the driveway because I don't have enough room to open the driver's side door all the way. I really need a shop. Is that a bit premature? This is our second video ever on this channel. We probably don't have many subscribers yet or viewers. Those who are watching, I very much appreciate your support. Maybe one of these days we'll get ourselves a shop and a lift or two. Oh, and it needs to be AC. That would be nice. There isn't much left to tackle in this one. Like I said, it was mostly gonna be a cleaning video. The interior definitely needed it because it was pretty smelly. That has been totally rectified. Every day I pop in just to sniff the interior to see if that smell is in fact staying out. And it has. It almost smells brand new, and it reminds me of my previous S5s. For some reason, the manufacturer leathers always smell similar. Like Porsche always has a very familiar leather smell. Audis, at least older Audis like this one, do as well. So it's a good thing that I recognize that from my other S5s, because those obviously were not crash damaged and serve as better comparisons for this one. So again, with the entire front of the car off, we've pretty much been waiting while we've been cleaning here for all of the hardware to arrive. But I think in the next video, we will be tackling some maintenance on the engine itself. Again, since it is so easy to access literally everything here. I've got the fuel pump. We're gonna be replacing that, the fuel pump sensor that snapped that I showed you in the first video. We're also gonna be replacing the water pump and the temperature sensor. The thermostat. I haven't ordered a PCV valve. I think I'm just gonna wing it. I'm gonna try going without it. We'll have to take the supercharger off regardless. We can peek inside as well to see just how bad the carbon buildup is on this TFSI engine. These are notorious for carbon buildup, which is essentially a lot of black carbon goo that builds up on the backsides of especially the intake valves. We'll be able to see those pretty clearly once the supercharger is off. So again, once we have the seats back inside, we already have the trunk set up. The entire back section of this car will be finished with the exception of the rims and tires, which, well, I've got news about. I went ahead and bit the bullet and ordered a new set of wheels and tires. Now, I really wanted 20-inch RS5 style rims. They look just like this, but they're 20s instead of 19s. The fitment is just a bit better all around. But again, for the life of me, I could not find a good condition set on eBay, and you'd be paying stupid money if you wanted to try to find these from the manufacturer. So I decided to go aftermarket, but I think that the rims I've chosen will fit this body style very, very nicely. Audis usually look very good with multi-spoke designs, and so I've gone with these here that only cost me about 213 bucks a pop, and that's because they are being discontinued. So a bit of a risk there. If I damage a wheel, I'm not gonna probably be able to find a replacement easily, at least in this size. But these fitted with some summer performance tires for around, what was it, like 1,500 bucks or so. I think that's a really good price all in for a set of 4 wheels and tires for a car of this caliber. It doesn't make sense to spend 10% of this car's entire value on Michelin tires. Like, it just doesn't compute for me. I'm already spending enough as it is on the wheels, and this car is all-wheel drive. It's not pushing 800 horsepower, so we're not gonna have a problem with grip even in the wet. I've been a Tire Rack buyer for many years. They've served me well, and if you purchase a wheel and tire package, they'll actually mount and balance the tires for you at no additional charge. They should arrive in only a few days. I didn't pay extra for shipping. For some reason, I mean, they've really got their shipping taken care of over at Tire Rack. So we'll get these in 3 or 4 days. Of course, we'll take the opportunity as well to replace the rotors and pads. Those kits are already in the garage. But that is all for this one. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. If you're new here, that would go a long way. We can't make money yet on YouTube, so your viewership and subscriptions are massive. I will catch you in the next one. It's time to take a bath. I need a bath. It's like 92 in Florida right now, and it hasn't rained in like 8 days, so there's just dust flying everywhere. I know you guys in the Midwest and stuff are like, dust, really? You're complaining about dust in Florida? But we're not used to it, and it's just a mess in this garage. So I'm trying to get by, but yeah, a bath is up next. I'll catch you in the next one. My name's Greg. Thanks for building with me.